My sister invited me to her wedding, and I saw a face I recognized. That same day, before leaving home, he planted a kiss on my lips. Now I stand here watching them exchange vows and rings. My sister, with elegance, reminded me, I had asked David to look out for you before. But now, Lucy, it's time for you to find a boyfriend. I glanced over at David, who simply smiled at her, offering me no explanation. Whatever, I don't want him anymore. Even if David were to stand outside our tiny apartment calling me baby, I wouldn't care. When David left that morning, he gave me a light kiss on my cheek. He advised, there's food in the fridge. Heat it up and eat after you wake up. So, spotting David at the wedding, my first reaction wasn't anger, but a dazed confusion. As the officiant recited the vows, David looked at my sister intently, leaving me with only his side profile. A small dot rested on the corner of his eye. Countless times, he missed our plans because of work, only to make it up to me with sweet apologies. He'd say, kiss the mole by my eye and don't be mad. I knew it was him. I just couldn't believe it was David. After being taken back home, I hardly showed up in public. I never mentioned who I was, nor did I desire anything that wasn't mine. My identity wasn't a choice, but I tried my best to avoid them. So, how did my boyfriend get tangled up with my sister? Suddenly, my brother gripped my wrist, just as the officiant asked David, do you take Becky to be your wife? At the same time, I heard my brother murmur, forgot to tell you, David knows our little sister from way back. We've always spoiled her. Sorry for the inconvenience. The little sister mentioned wasn't me. It was Becky the bride, David's new wife, the elegant lady of the hour. My brother's seemingly polite tone wasn't out of respect but disdain. Ignoring him, I fixed my gaze on David. He focused solely on my sister, speaking his vows with gentle, loving assurance. I do. The words cut deep. An ache whispered through my chest, and tears escaped my eyes. My brother let go of my wrist, dabbing his long fingers with a tissue. His dismissive tone lingered. Lucy, you really have some wild imagination. Becky, come, let brother see how beautiful my sister is. Becky held her gown, rushing over while David protectively followed. Brother, do I look pretty? David spent months picking this out, Becky chirped. The little glimmers at the corner of her eyes matched the dress's sparkle under the light. She did look stunning. With a casual ease, my brother continued, of course my sister looks great, even without David's pick. Familiarity in his voice as he praised her, then turned to look at Becky and David with a gentle smile. David's subtle smile was an expression I never had the pleasure of receiving. Brother, we must get back to toasting with guests. Becky and I will catch up later. I hadn't gotten a word in edgewise. No one even spared a glance my way. Their disdain was as apparent as the first day I returned home. My mom had pleaded, kneeling, she's your daughter. You can't ignore her. Yet they sat, attending to their business, sharing a funny piece of news, pretending we weren't in the room. The simplest disregard breaks you entirely. Now, I don't care about arguing anymore. Why David became my sister's husband is beyond me. I just need to get away and have a good cry back in my cramped apartment. The next day, I'd still be the Lucy with no ties to this family. Brother, I'm leaving. I attempted to keep my expression somewhat dignified. No, don't go. David has taken care of you for so long. It's only fair you say goodbye. Little sis is just headstrong, insisted David watch over you. You didn't misunderstand, did you? Misunderstand? Like when David said, I love you, or when he promised he only liked me. All of this was your little inside joke, wasn't it? I was just the fool caught in the middle. Their concern over my hurt feelings was almost comical. I composed myself, raising my head. I didn't misunderstand. You all should have told me David was specially assigned to care for me. I would have treated him better, maybe not made him live cramped with me. My brother seemed surprised by the quick shift in my demeanor. Becky called out, Lucy, come join your sister-in-law for a toast. Moving towards me, her eyes glanced over dismissively before she turned away. In front of me, Becky stood while David warned her, drink less, you'll get a stomachache. Watching their tender interaction, I couldn't help but think how dedicated they were to their roles. In the morning, David had asked for a kiss. Now, hours later, he cared for another woman. It was nauseating. Raising my glass, I toasted, to my sister and brother-in-law, may you have a long, happy marriage, and bless you with children soon. Becky laughed as we clinked glasses together. I couldn't stay any longer. I turned to leave. She reminded me, Lucy, Those trinkets you gave David, the stuffed animals and watches, they were cheap, so I threw them away. Don't be mad at your sister. I stopped, remembering David's love for occasions. He'd always sweetly ask for gifts. I budgeted carefully to buy him little things with my part-time wage, scarves, flowers, watches, each chosen with the hope of making him happy. But his treasures would vanish quickly. He lied, saying he tucked them away safely. Now the truth unfolded. It was all for show, worthless in their eyes. That woman didn't really teach me anything. But I remember her saying during her prime, "The lower you are, the more dignified you should act." Even though she couldn't keep it up herself later on, I held on to those words. At the moment, when someone poked at my wound, I clenched my palm hard and pretended to be calm. It's not like it's anything important. If it's gone, it's gone. After I said it, without looking at their faces, I forced my shaky legs to move forward. When I got home, I began packing David's stuff. From the big things like the bedsheet and comforter he picked, to small things like his toothbrush and ring. I managed to gather quite a bit, and split it into 3 small bags to throw out. This community has a beautiful environment, with gardens and trees right outside. Now I can see the silk tree blooming outside the window. It was spring when we looked at the house. David chose this place right away because of the tall silk tree outside. But the rent here is really high. I had to take on double the gigs just to barely afford it. Not to mention I still had to go to the lab. He eventually wore me down with his begging, looking at me with those pitiful eyes until I agreed. This building doesn't have an elevator, and I dragged the bags down the stairs. The silk tree outside is in full bloom now. It looks like a fluffy pink cloud from afar. It's hot today, and my back was soon drenched in sweat. The bags left red marks on my palms because they were so heavy. Feeling a bit annoyed, I tugged harder, and one of the bags tore apart, spilling things all over the stairs. I paused, watching the clothes tumble down, blinking as I tried to figure out how I felt. Without a clear thought, I stiffly went back up to get a sturdier plastic bag. When I was picking up the clothes on the stairs, the neighbor grandma happened to come home. Seeing me, she warmly greeted, "Packing up stuff? Looks like David could still wear these clothes. Don't spoil him too much." Even a neighbor I've met just a couple of times knows how I spoiled David. I paid the rent, covered our meals out, even bought him clothes. With just a bit of whining, I'd abandon all my principles. Maybe it's because I lacked love growing up, and when I finally had someone, I'd smother them with affection, not even thinking about their intentions. With a tight throat, I wiped my face with my arm, took a moment, and answered the grandma. "Grandma, I know. I won't anymore." After dumping everything in the trash, I let myself fall onto the bed, forcing my eyes to close. When I opened them again, the room was pitch black. I reached for my phone and called my senior. "Hey, I want to stay in the dorms again. Is that still an option?" After sorting that out, I sent a message to my landlord. "I want to terminate the lease." I buried my head in the pillow, whispering to myself uncontrollably, "It's all right, let's just say David was just a dream. I'm still me, just a regular girl who got into the lab on her own merit. My mom was wrong. I need to steer clear. I have nothing to do with them." "Lucy, you came back at the right time. The lab is crazy busy. My senior and I practically live in there." David and Becky's wedding was really grand. Every young person in S City with internet access could see that lavish ceremony, let alone my senior who had met David. My senior escorted me to a dorm room, handed me the key, calmly reassuring me, "Finally you're back. We need to celebrate tonight." Nodding blankly, I took the key. Once inside, I sat on the bed, gazing out the window thinking, no silk trees here. It looks kinda barren. Then I rubbed my face hard, packed my stuff quickly, and headed to the lab. "Come on Lucy, take a look at this, help out. You're back just in time. We took on a new project and are swamped. Finally we can breathe a bit." Watching people in white lab coats coming and going, I tossed my backpack on my desk. This is where I truly feel grounded. In this lab I got into through my own efforts. Putting on my goggles, I thought of David. That was last week's Friday. David insisted on picking me up, but because of one wrong data point, we had to redo all the experiments. He stood by the lab's glass door as I worked, his side profile in my view, constantly typing away on his phone. I should have realized then. Why couldn't he put his phone down at that time? Why did I often catch him anxiously texting someone? I figured he might have met someone more interesting or was about to cheat, but I wasn't afraid. We could simply part ways. You can't hold on to something that doesn't belong to you. So I never bothered checking his phone. I can take the gamble, and I can take the loss. But I didn't expect meeting him was all a plan. It was calculated from the start. From the first smile was deception. The boy who smiled at me was just an illusion crafted for me. They just trample on people's genuine feelings like that. I should have known. How could Becky let me off that easily? Coming back to my senses, I'd accidentally jabbed the pipette into the test tube. My senior tapped my shoulder, pulling me back from my thoughts. Focus, focus. But don't they ever think they'll get karma for playing with people like that? Drink. No one's leaving tonight. Of course, everything goes smoothly with our Lucy. Almost done. We can take it easy tomorrow morning. Drink up, don't hold back. Relaxing into the couch. I couldn't quite figure out how it turned into this. One moment, we were discussing data. The next it was a drink fest. My senior brought over a drink. Lucy, take a sip and unwind. Neon lights flickered, and I looked at the red glow behind my senior, entranced by the room's vibe. Grabbing the drink, I downed it in one go. Tangy and sweet, with a bit of a spicy aftertaste but still manageable. Where there's one drink, there's a second. My senior didn't stop me, just watched as I drank cup after cup. I hiccuped from the alcohol and slumped on the couch. I could faintly hear my senior telling someone to take the younger ones home. It was like a veil was over my eyes. The lights blurred, and I vaguely felt like I saw David. Our first meeting was simple. He dropped a pen, and out of kindness, I picked it up and chased him down. He looked at the pen I was holding, smiled shyly with crinkled eyes. Thanks, I really needed a pen. To thank you, how about dinner on me? A gentle breeze ruffled his hair as he spoke, and despite the awkwardness of his attempt, I couldn't help but agree, charmed by his bashful smile. As time went by, we grew closer and discovered we shared many interests. We thought alike on many things. Most of the songs in my playlist he could sing. We admired the same violinist. We both enjoyed reading at noon. 2 weeks later, we were officially together. Perhaps people talked about me. Oh, the daughter of the mistress, cheap as ever. Couldn't resist a whiff from David. Cry if you need to, it's not your fault. The voice belonged to my senior, carrying the faint scent of disinfectant that somehow calmed me. Cry if you need to, she said again. Her comforting presence reassured me. Our other senior had already left. It's all right to cry. Everyone meets awful people at some point in life, she reminded me. It's not your fault. She gently patted my back as emotions welled up inside, my head spinning. I bit my lip hard, trying not to show vulnerability, but the sobs escaped my lips uncontrollably. In my mind, I pictured David looking at Becky and my mother kneeling and knocking her head on the floor. What I thought was precious turned out to be a cruelly woven illusion. In a moment spurred by alcohol, I broke down and cried. Our lab set up a branch abroad, and I had to go there. The senior informed us we have to prepare our tuition and living expenses ourselves and submit applications by the end of the month. I did well in exams, but floundered hopelessly in the English-speaking part of the interview. In the massive interview hall, when I started speaking, faint amusement quickly spread in the eyes of some professors. Afterwards, in a pause of dead silence, the interview concluded abruptly within 2 minutes. I walked out numbingly, pondering my options if I didn't make it. I didn't expect that it would be the renowned guru of biological research, my top choice mentor, who finally accepted me. The mentor was old, and his hands trembled slightly holding a teacup. He reminded us about the deadline at the end of the month. Now my experiences and maybe improved spoken English might help me adapt and survive with part-time work while studying abroad. My senior brother and sister lent me a substantial amount of money, added to my savings. It seemed like a ray of hope. Senior sister reminded me, Lucy, this is our chance as ordinary people. Don't throw it away. I understood I had to go abroad with the lab, otherwise, I would miss out on such a golden opportunity. I resolutely agreed with a nod, as they watched encouragingly. Senior sister immediately smiled and said, that's the spirit. Don't be the fool who can't accept kindness from friends. I returned to the dorm in a daze, staring out the window and grappling with the idea of leaving soon. I've been in this city for a decade, but this is finally the right step, an opportunity to escape. David called at this moment. I hadn't blocked him, maybe to show I didn't care. Did he want to see me break down? I paused for 2 seconds before picking up. The wind roared on his end, and silence stretched between us. If there's nothing, I'm blocking you, I said. He spoke up. The mimosa flowers are blooming beautifully tonight. His words yanked my thoughts back to our apartment, with those flower shadows dancing on the floor like moonlit dancers. My head throbbed and I lashed out, unable to control my tone. What do you mean? Don't call again. We have nothing to do with each other. Still unaware I've moved, he tried. Can we meet? I have things to explain. I had my reasons. Disgust twisted my stomach, and I curtly cut him off. Get lost. Hanging up, I blocked and deleted his contact. Despite juggling lab work and a part-time job, I felt an unprecedented lightness. The possibility of leaving was exhilarating. One day, after submitting proposals and reports, they were all rejected. I suspected the worst. They had been accepted previously, but why not now? Unyielding, I approached the next collaborating company and faced the same dismissal, consistently hearing, doesn't meet our requirements. Carrying my backpack, baffled, I lingered outside a company I had worked with extensively before. When the executive I'd met walked out, I stood, fighting off the dizziness from crouching too long as nausea threatened. I pushed forward on sheer will and asked, can we talk? As I spoke, a more dominant voice cut through. All right, Becky, I'll leave it to you, ushered with ceremonial deference. Recognizing the scene, I saw Becky, laughing with people, commanding respect and attention. Her gaze, though subtle, landed squarely on me as someone by her side said, who's this kiddo? Scram. Becky's face didn't change. It even maintained the charming smile she walked out with. It'll be a challenge. I'm looking forward to our new drug launch, she spoke, using the opportunity to subtly tell me why my design wasn't wanted. The executive continued to trail behind her like a shadow, bowing repeatedly. I expected Becky to ignore me entirely, as before, but this time she stopped, feigned surprise, and adjusted her glasses as if just acknowledging my presence. Hey, what are you doing here? What brings you? Her perfume enveloped me, her impeccably made-up face contrasting my sun-beaten, sweat-soaked self. I opened my mouth to explain, but someone beside her seamlessly continued. Ah, she knows Becky, such luck. This young lady did drug assessments for our company before. Becky laughed again. Well, that's a shame. Our collaboration this time is for drug evaluations. I guess we can't work together then. I listened to their mocking back and forth, clutching the report in my hand. I'd spent a few sleepless nights putting it together. Every word was my hard work. I've always known how capital can suppress people. They have countless ways to keep me down. But I couldn't figure out why. This time, they extended a hand to someone they're usually indifferent to. I didn't understand, and I felt unwilling to succumb. But her next words dispelled my doubts. This week you should return to the old house. Becky and David will be there. It's a good chance for you to send best wishes to your sister and brother-in-law. Aren't you short on money? If you go, our family will help you out. Her words dripped with superiority like charity. I tightened my grip on the report and shook my head. No, Becky, I'm working very busy. I won't go. Her face changed, and she stepped closer, ignoring everyone else around us, and raised her hand to slap me hard. Slap. My face turned to the side. She regained her previous composure, leaned in close to my ear, and whispered softly, what are you fantasizing about? Just because David met with you, you think you're his girlfriend? What gives you the right to talk to me like this? You're going whether you want to or not. Didn't you want to get into this family initially? Now you're showing that sour face to whom? I understood now. The unfounded targeting, being forced to attend despite their disdain, was because she knew David had come to see me. But she also reminded me of something. I recalled the woman who always told me to be graceful, kneeling at the door, pleading me to come back. Covering my face with my head down, I replied clearly and deliberately, I will go. The old house hosts a family banquet every month. This time is just another event. I've been to these gatherings many times. Young people gather to discuss various topics, and I'm always treated like the odd one out. The only difference this time is David's presence. Everyone here knows about David and Becky's relationship, and about David and me. They all pretend not to see us at the same event, but are quietly watching the drama. David appeared with Becky, his gentle smile as familiar as ever. I glanced at them, and then turned away, hiding in the corner to minimize my presence. The usual opening remarks began. These wealthy youngsters were used to it. Only when Becky took the stage did things stir up a bit. There are 2 announcements today, she said. Firstly, my dear daughter and David's wedding. Cheers erupted from the crowd, and Becky lowered her head shyly. Becky continued. Secondly, regarding Lucy. Becky paused, satisfied watching as the crowd hung on her words. Everyone was eager for some gossip, hoping to use it to humiliate me or laugh off my early success. I stood up. I'm here to sever ties. I hope you all bear witness. My voice was clear as the crowd stared in disbelief. Simultaneously, Becky's words echoed through the microphone. Lucy plans to study abroad, and we decided to sponsor her. When she graduates, she can join the company. Nowadays, this company is something everyone wants to get in with, and for a graduate, getting a position there is tough. How did Lucy get so lucky to join just like that? Becky is kind-hearted, offering to sponsor the daughter of a mistress. The hall buzzed with whispers. After Becky's announcement, no one thought I'd refuse. As the daughter of an affair, I should be on my knees in gratitude. I ignored all the noise and watched as Becky raised her voice. The sound was clear. If your parents agree, we can start the process today. Lucy, such a nice name. I don't care about this family. I just want to be away from them. I can rely on myself to achieve what I want, without needing anything from them. Are you crazy? My father shouted, hitting me once more. So many people, aren't you embarrassed enough? In less than a week, I had been hit twice. My heart felt only numbness. When I was young, I asked my mother why everyone else had a dad, and I didn't. She never held back, telling me, your dad is a liar, he has a family, so I kicked him out. As a kid, I heard that and immediately forgot about the dad part, worrying only about myself. Will you also make me leave? Back then, Mom was sitting in front of her vanity, getting ready for a performance. She paused and looked at me intently. How could I? I live for you. I raised my head, looked at my father, and said clearly, we're cutting ties. I promise not to come within an inch of you. The hall was in an uproar. My father raised his hand again, but it was caught mid-air. It was David. He grabbed my father's hand, but he looked at me asking, are you sure? You do need the family's financial support. Becky rushed over, her gown trailing behind her, everyone present watching for a spectacle. I looked at David. After severing ties, I won't be near you either. My brother and Becky hurried to my father's side. Becky also arrived, glancing deeply at David holding my father's hand, then raising her hand to stop my brother and Becky. She looked at me and sneered. Our family raised you. You're supposed to work for the company. Otherwise, you would have been dead at 10, wouldn't you? The crowd seemed to suddenly realize, all chiming in. Yeah, raised for so many years. Don't you understand gratitude? Becky's been so kind. And you even entered the family's home. I laughed instead, looked up sporting the handprint on my face. Take care of me? You mean when I was 10 and almost froze to death? And the nanny got fired for bringing me into the storage room out of pity? Or when even my high school teachers couldn't stand it, and you gave me $100 each month? Or living in the attic storage, organizing stuff when I had free time? Or maybe never having family meals, doing everything like a servant? Becky's face suddenly went awkward. I glanced around, and those chatty folks fell silent. Bunch of hypocrites. High school, 3 years, 36 months, $3,600. Remember that bracelet worth $4,000? Paid you back long ago. From 10 to 18, 8 years staying in the storage, doing a nanny's job. Paid that back too. Becky looked dazed, probably thought that bracelet was trash, especially since it was from me. Cheeks stinging, I touched my face and looked at everyone around. I don't owe you anything anymore. These slaps, I'll pay back eventually. Let's just follow the legal route now. I turned away, leaving the whispers behind. Really ungrateful, huh? Who does she think she is? Think she's got a bright future without them? I ignored them, moving on and leaving my rotten past behind. You crazy? Going abroad isn't cheap. Not even to the gate yet. David pulled me into the garden, gripping my wrist tight. Let go, it's none of your business. My voice was too cold. He just laughed, that little mole by the eye twitching, his voice pleading. Hear me out, please? I was caught off guard when he suddenly leaned in, eyes red and barely holding it together. First time opening up in front of others, his voice trembled. Sweetheart, I'm an illegitimate child too. That night, I waited forever, only to hear you moved out. His breath was hot, his hand shaking on my shoulder. Give me time, okay? Once it's settled, we can be together properly. Looking at his manic state, everything seemed surreal. Becky used David to deceive me, David used her for his own ends. They're all the same, equally disgusting. Who did I even fall in love with before? I ignored David's plea, pried his hand off me. I'm leaving. Still got data to run. He got mad, yanking me back. Don't you get it? We can never match up to the privileged, always getting trampled on. To get what you want, you have to use them. Why cut ties with TM? It's a golden opportunity. My wrist ached from his grip. I turned, stared at David, and slapped him hard. Get lost and don't show up again. Lucy, fill out this application. The professor casually handed me the form. I took it. Thin sheets holding my dreams from age 10 till now. But I can't even afford the tuition. I've known for a long time bad guys don't always get what's coming. Instead, good folks hoping for justice often get crushed by things those bad guys could care less about. My fingers played with the paper, cherishing its texture. That's fine, give me a year. I'll make it on my own. But now I sighed, ready to give the form back. But the professor stopped me. They came to talk to me once. Holding his usual porcelain teacup, he kept going without looking at me. Company's just a spent force now. They offered high pay to poach me. I'm too old, not interested. But when they mentioned you, my best student, I met with them. My heart raced. The old man looked regretful. That's when I learned about your family. He pushed a bank card toward me, adding, consider it a loan, but you have to go abroad with me. No explanation needed. The future will clarify it all. Holding back tears, I took the card from the table. As I left, I couldn't help but ask, what do you mean, I'm your best student? The old man looked smug, head nodding as if recalling something. Got you from the other professors. My face stayed calm, nodding, keeping composed as I returned to the dorm. Once the door closed, I collapsed and cried uncontrollably. Forced into a home by my mom, played by David, thinking I was just a charity case for the professor. Turned out I wasn't. I was the chosen one. Realizing I wasn't always chosen last, I had my moment. I could be the top pick. Life abroad raced by. Time vanished in a blink. Unending research nearly crushed me. But at last, new drug success brought results and pride. I could proudly declare my mentor's name. When the new drug's announcement was out, everyone went to celebrate. I stayed in the lab, washing test tubes. All my efforts were validated. I got my first bonus and praises I never dared to dream of. They called me teacher. With the water running, my hand felt distant. That weight finally lifted. Some unresolved issues finally settled. And that's when David knocked on the lab's glass. The lab here was identical to the one back home. I looked up at David, his face blurring with memories from long ago. I gave a quick glance, then looked down, chuckling at myself. I suddenly thought of my mother, the woman who stayed graceful day in, day out. My memories of her were fuzzy, but some words stuck. She said, only dogs forgive and go back to the ones who wronged them. I carefully rinsed the test tube, ignoring David's gaze. As I walked out of the lab, he quickly caught up with me. Lucy, can we talk? I kept my pace steady, responding nonchalantly, no need. He grabbed my wrist, eyes red and dark circles evident, looking like he hadn't slept in ages. His voice was soft, almost pleading. Do you really have to do this, Lucy? I shook off his hand with some fatigue in my voice. We're not on the same path, David. He got emotional, his eyes red-rimmed and voice almost breaking. Why aren't we on the same path? Tell me, Lucy, why? I just don't want to be stepped on. Is that so wrong? Lucy, wait for me. I'll divorce Becky once I'm in control. Wait for me. No one wants me, but you can't leave me, Lucy. As he tried to pull me into his arms, I felt exhausted. Near him, and what used to be our home, I felt drained. I just wanted to get away. His words hit me like a tide, and he wouldn't let go. With all my might, I slapped him. His whole body trembled, covering his face, looking lost. Maybe in his memory, I was still the one who doted on him, but I had changed. This almost 6'3" guy crouched down, shoulders shaking. Watching him, I didn't know what to feel. I turned and left without looking back at David. Much later, after I returned to the country, I found out. That day, David's biological mother died in an alley. No one noticed, no one cared, no one informed him. When he got there that evening, her body had already been cremated, and he never got to see her one last time. When someone gossiped this to me, hoping to catch a reaction on my face, I thought, what does his life have to do with me? 3 years filled with the ups and downs of research topics, data that never quite matched, and endless experiment meetings. I was bewildered but not lost. Standing at my workstation, packing up, I recalled those times when I was too busy to say anything else, but just give me a petri dish during meals. After sorting out everything, I took one last look at the familiar space. Bottles and jars were still where they belonged. New faces took our spots. Everything was unchanged, yet everything had changed. A junior saw me and greeted me with a grin. "Hey senior, killed another one?" I smiled, reassuring him no worries, one day you'll find the same sample in a forgotten water bottle. A senior patted my shoulder, her hand instinctively resting on her stomach. Watching her boyfriend waiting at the door, I teased, "So clingy?" She playful, yet fondly replied, "You should find a boyfriend too." My hand touched her stomach, it was still flat. Hard to believe a life was brewing there. I shifted the topic. "What do you think, boy or girl?" She drifted along. "Either is fine, but I'd love a girl, to dress her up pretty every day." I recalled her telling me she grew up in a family preferring boys. Her clothes were always hand-me-downs from her younger brother. She'd envied other little girls' princess dresses back then. Her eyes touched with a hint of moisture. I dragged her away gently. "Girls are great. When the time comes, I'll get you matching mother-daughter outfits. You both can wear princess dresses." At the door, her boyfriend handed her, looking at me. "We're heading back home, are you?" Their concern showed, and I smiled at them. "Of course I'm going back." I remember clearly, the day I left it was raining, and the day I returned was too, the drizzle clinging onto everything. The senior couple were locals. Over the years, he'd started a small company, entering its peak. Ignoring many job offers from big companies, wherever they went I went. I didn't think I'd see my family so soon, but it happened almost immediately. A week after returning home, the senior specifically tasked me and her boyfriend with a project, only to discover Becky and David sitting on the other side. Becky stumbled for a moment seeing me, then plastered on a polite smile. Walking to my senior, "Weren't we meant to meet the mentor student?" She suddenly acted as if spotting me. "Oh Lucy, you're back?" Becky stood by, slightly lifting her chin. My senior ignored her and got us seated, leaning close, whispering, "Our mentor insists on getting you the justice you deserve," giving me a wink. "Let's start with the collaboration details," he announced, tilting back on his chair, nodding towards Becky. Though the attitude seemed off, Becky held her cool, puzzled. "But the mentor said we should directly sign the contract with you. Their family thrived on a drug decades ago, stagnant since. For 3 years, they've been foreseeing their downfall, which is why they recruited my mentor handsomely. They're on their last legs, a dwindling empire. More companies are sidelining them, opting for newer ones for more profit." Unfazed, the senior said, "I don't know. Tell us about the partnership, then maybe I'll sign." The term was vague. It could be brief or cover every aspect. Comprehensive discussion would surely last hours. Normally handled by experts, Becky only had David for this session. Wincing, she forced a couple of points before Becky, beside her, interjected with a steel face, "I'll continue then." The senior's face hardened, but his voice remained calm. "I thought Becky's doing just fine. Things are not like they used to be. They needed something from us." But Becky surprisingly kept her cool, and started explaining things seriously. For almost an hour, she vaguely talked about the collaboration vision and arrangements. My senior glanced at his watch, raised his hand, and stopped Becky. "Sorry, we have someone else in mind. It's getting late, so we'll be heading out now." Becky couldn't keep her expression steady, and crossed her arms while sitting. "Lucy, you've really grown." My senior didn't say anything, just smiled at me. Becky realized the collaboration was a bust, and stopped pretending. Becky chimed in, "You're just like your mom." I ignored his comment, stood up under his gaze, and looked at Becky. "I'm giving you something back." "What?" I stepped closer, looked her in the face, and slapped her hard, one on each cheek. After 3 years, I finally returned the slap she gave me back then. Becky snapped out of it and screamed, "How dare you hit me? How dare you?" As she raised her hand to pull my hair, I grabbed her wrist and shoved her to the ground. "Don't disgust me. I've been done with that family for a long time. Get lost." In the car, my senior chuckled and said, "Did you see their faces? Haha, that's on you now." My eyes got hot, and I started picking at my fingers. "If they don't bother me, I won't bother them." My senior glanced at me. "Yeah, that's your style. Don't let them push you around." I stared at the road in silence. He playfully said, "Hang on, my sister-in-law is almost done cooking, and I'm picking out a princess dress for her." Come help. My senior and his wife's company was doing well, and my salary had kept going up. They even offered me shares, but I refused. I didn't put a penny into the company at the start. Now that my sister-in-law was pregnant, I had no right to take any credit from their hard work. You should try somewhere else. Our company is just fine, but I wanted to be stable enough to care for them. That day, I submitted my resignation, making my sister-in-law laugh. Never changes, does she? Always straight to the point. She paused, placing her hand on her belly, now big and swollen. Even her face was puffy, but she was gentle and loving. Seeing her stroke her belly like that made me wonder. Did my mom wait for me the same way? If you're ever in trouble, come back. Her voice pulled me from my thoughts. I replied softly, okay. I quickly found a new job in a city totally unlike this one. The air was so clean, flowers bloomed all year, and it was the hometown my mother often talked about. On a rainy departure day, my senior and his wife came to see me off. I waved them away before heading inside. She insisted on watching me go through the gate. As I sat on the plane, I had a sudden realization. Do I even have a home? From a place I'd long been stuck into a new one, it took just 2 hours. But it took me years to prepare for those hours. I quickly settled into my new life, liking the comfortable distance I kept with people around me. But there was one intern who always liked to follow me and ask questions. He even insisted on tagging along to events I attended. At this work party, it was for a project kickoff. Our client was a notoriously demanding woman. I'd chosen the first love wine she liked. When she spotted me, her eyes were fixed on my face. She picked up my card I'd left there earlier. Lucy, pouring the wine, I replied yes. The intern, noticing the client asking me so many questions, rushed over, oblivious of everyone's eyes, grabbing the wine from my hand. Let me do it, don't bother her. His recklessness irked me a bit, but the client waved it off, indicating for me to sit. Is your mom named Candy? I hesitated, and she pointedly asked, want to visit your mom? You're a spitting image of her. The intern also stopped to look at me. My fingers pressed into my palm. How could I not bear a grudge against someone who abandoned me at 10? But over the years, missing her had overshadowed the anger. She was my only family, and I constantly thought about her well-being. I convinced myself, maybe she had her reasons back then. Maybe she needs me now. Maybe I can have a family now. I bit my lip and said, yes, I'd like to see her. The woman gazed at me, seemed to see through me, and upon hearing me, snapped back. Wait for me at 10 a.m. At the entrance, I'll take you to her. The next day, I came an hour early, wearing new clothes and light makeup. In that hour, my heart was racing. How should I greet her? Hi, I'm your daughter. Too forced. Mom, how have you been? Too eager. In my anxiety, I kept pacing. Seeing my state, the woman smiled, commenting on how lively I seemed. Behind her was that intern. The intern chirped, Mom, maybe not today. The woman glanced at him. He darted over to me, slipping a candy into my palm. Standing before me, the woman looked at her son disapprovingly. Let me introduce myself. You can call me Aunt Annie. I'm a good friend of your mom's. This is my son, John. John sheepishly tugged my hand and slipped another candy into my palm. Annie asked again, are you sure you want to go? I nodded, and another candy was put in my hand. Once in the car, the GPS showed 2 hours. Seeing the barren landscape, my heart sank. John was chatting away, with Annie humoring him while I was consumed with annoyance, unable to focus on possibilities of the encounter with my mom. We stopped at the cemetery, and John finally stopped talking just in time. My heart sank to the bottom, and my brand new clothes felt like a joke. Aunt Annie got off the car without a change of expression and pulled me along. I know it's hard to accept, but I wanted to tell you the truth. Seeing the cemetery, I had a hunch and numbly followed Aunt Annie out of the car, with John by my side. Aunt Annie walked ahead, climbing the steps one by one. Candy was a hopeless romantic, too soft-hearted and kind. Thought she found true love, but turned out true love had a family and kids. Aunt Annie scoffed, mocking something unsaid. Her mom died from an illness, her dad remarried. No one but me to care for her. She ran off with that man, only to come back sick later. When she called me, her hair was gone, swollen all over. She told me she had a daughter, and hoped I would give her this letter someday. Aunt Annie said, handing me 2 envelopes. One for you, one for your future husband. My chest tightened. Maybe this was why she left me all those years ago. We're here. Go have a chat, pay your respects. Aunt Annie looked at the tombstone then turned to me. She had wanted me to keep this secret, but I just wanted you to know. With that, she led John back down the steps, leaving me alone at the grave. It's been over a decade. I can barely remember my mother's face, just that she was kind to me before leaving me so heartlessly. Looking at the woman smiling brightly in the photo, I couldn't help but wonder, did she regret leaving me? I opened the thin letter in my hand. Only a few lines, not even answering my question. Sweetie, by the time you read this, Mommy is off realizing her dream to travel the world. I'm an unfit mother, can't give you anything. In the next life, don't be my daughter. It's too tough. I covered my eyes and laughed, tears falling as I laughed. Her traveling the world was really just being stuck here, unable to move. It was morning when I arrived, but evening when I left the cemetery. As soon as I stepped out, I saw John leaning against the car door, lazily watching me. Let's get you home. I didn't refuse. We were unusually quiet during the drive. I finally spoke up. Did you know I was Candy's daughter? Nope, I know you because of you. But Candy's name is pretty famous. John exaggerated, pulling faces to make me smile. Seeing I wasn't reacting, he quickly added, I'm not so great with words, but look ahead. Getting to where you are isn't easy. I turned away, clutching the 2 letters, feeling empty, not utterly devastated, just lost. Now it seems I'm truly all alone. Back home, I flopped in bed, my mind a mess, not sure what I was thinking. It felt like I was torn in two, one half telling me life was meaningless, the other half urging me not to give up, saying life was getting better. A vibration from my phone dragged me back to reality. Numbly I answered, and my senior sister's voice boomed, Lucy, when are you coming back? The due date is next month. Godmother has to be there. Forget it, I already got your ticket. Come back next Monday. Don't bring anything. We have everything here. Just come back safe, got it? My senior sister kept talking, and I broke down crying. I was long gone, but friendship pulled me back. I boarded the flight back, with John dropping me off, watching me with hopeful eyes. Come back soon, okay? I waved him off as he made a pouty face, pretending to cry. Ignoring his looks, I kept it short. We're not happening. Get over it. John blinked at that, tears actually falling. The announcement began and I hurried off. He said behind me, just barely audible, I'll wait for you to come back. Having a baby was truly a magnificent and magical thing. In the last month, I watched my senior sister throw up non-stop, unable to eat, swearing the first thing she'd do post-baby was to hit her one. But when the baby stretched tiny fingers, eyes barely open, somehow, you could forgive it all. At the postpartum center, I stayed with her, watching the baby bubble milk and open those eyes, smiling non-stop. On the day I had to leave, my sister sat up in bed. If things get tough out there, come back. In the past, those who bullied me were no longer around. David still stringing along with Becky, under her thumb. Now no one bullies me anymore, but my sister still worries. I nodded, then stepped out and back in, lightly knocking the sleeping baby's head. She woke, blinked at me and grinned. My sister seemed puzzled as I tapped the baby's forehead again. Thinking I teased her, she giggled, unable to stop. All right, we'll settle the score for bugging my sister when you're older. Even if you're just a little girl. Having taken over 6 months off, exiting the airport, I immediately spotted John rushing forward to grab my luggage, giving me a headache. There's nothing between us, let it go, okay? John hung his head, face unreadable but sounding firm. I made lots of stuff, including your favorite cookies. Want some? I loved sweets, but never told anyone, not even my senior sister. John's grip on the suitcase told me he wasn't calm at all. Looking at this boy, 5 or 6 years my junior, with his emotions plain as day, I sighed. Forget it, still just a kid. Come on, I'd like to try them. John's head shot up, eyes slightly red, but smiling brightly. His smile was so dazzling. And I remembered when I handed my senior sister the other letter meant for my future husband. She shook her head gently, saying I won't read it. You'll have a new life. John eagerly rushed ahead, and I knew. It was time for me to start fresh. The end. Epilogue. John. I shamelessly managed to woo my wife, and went to meet her senior colleagues. My wife loves me so much. The first night I went there, I snuck out to buy a cake for my wife. Just as I left the cake shop, someone stopped me. He was intimidating, like he hadn't had a haircut in forever. As soon as he saw me, he started yelling. What good are you? You only got anywhere because of Lucy. She does everything for you. What makes you so special? I got it, he was jealous of me. Yeah, exactly. I'm totally relying on my wife. What can he do about it? I'm that kind of person, totally dependent on her. While I kept calling her my wife, his face turned sour. I wanted to brag a bit more. But suddenly someone grabbed my hand. My wife was slightly out of breath. Why didn't you answer when I called? I looked at my phone, 2 missed calls. Dang, got too caught up in bragging and missed it. The guy looked shocked when he saw my wife and called out Lucy. My wife dragged me away. Her face didn't look great, so I gently asked, who was that guy? I don't know him. After saying this, she added sternly, next time, tell me before you leave, and always answer your phone. My wife's worried about me. That's sweet. I seized the chance to make a request. Got it. Can I read the letter Candy left for you? The one for her future husband. I thought she'd deflect like before, but she held my hand and softly said sure. While my wife was outside comforting her goddaughter, I curled up in the bedroom to read the letter. Half a page, not too long, not too short. Hello, I'm Lucy's mom. If you're reading this, Lucy has accepted you, and you two will be together for life. Here's a simple question. Do you know what Lucy likes and dislikes? I filled in mentally. She loves sweets, especially soft cakes, ice cream, watermelon and apples. Mangoes are okay, but not like apples. She dislikes scallions and isn't fond of ginger, but can tolerate a little. She hates coffee, wrinkles her nose with one sip, and doesn't like fish because she's too lazy to deb one it. Thinking about it, I couldn't resist bragging to Candy. But I like fish, so my wife will humor me and eat fish with me. If you can't answer these basic questions, please distance yourself from Lucy for a mother's sake. Even if you can answer them, it's nothing to celebrate. It's easy enough to observe. Remember, if you ever stop liking her, don't hide it. If after marriage, she turns out different from what you imagined, don't hide it. If you're annoyed watching her buried in daily struggles, don't hide it. If you're disgusted by her post-pregnancy body, don't hide it. If you're irritated by her constant talk about the kids, don't hide it. I believe my daughter can handle honesty, but she can't stand repeated deception and betrayal. As a dying mother, I'm writing this. If you can't do it, I'll become the air you breathe, the wind you feel, the water you drink, and every person you interact with, haunting you till your death. If it scares you, return the letter to my daughter, explain and leave. I stared at the letter in a daze when my wife knocked. Dinner's ready. I rushed to her, clinging on and cried in her arms. Wife, can we go without having kids? She patted my shoulder and sighed. I just agreed to be with you. And now you're talking nonsense again? I kept crying, thinking about what the letter said. My wife seemed a bit annoyed, leaning away a bit, which made me cry even harder. Finally, I heard a muffled voice at my ear. Okay. The end.